Good afternoon, guys. I'm Logan from with the Backwoods Institute. Today I'm going to be setting up a trail camera, and I'm going to be showing you guys how I do it and the tips and tricks that I've picked up. So hopefully that if you ever set up a trail camera, you have a greater chance of successfully getting a picture of white-tailed deer or whatever type of game you want to get on that trail camera. But you guys are going to like this. I hope you learned something. Catch you in a bit. All right, now the first thing we want to talk about is your selection of where to set up this trail camera. And you don't just want to set it up in a random area and hopefully try to see a deer or whatever, because you want to set it up in an area where deer funnel into and you get to see what your deer herd looks like, or the game that you're trying to see. You want to see the biggest and the most amount of game that you can, so you can judge to see what's on your property, on your hunting ground, whatever, and hopefully you see that big shooter buck that you can get to this season coming up. But I'm going to be talking about site selection here right now. Right here I got a back finger of a soybean field on the property that I'm going to be hunting, and it's surrounded by woods on all sides. And this very back corner is highly secluded. There's very little pressure from any people or anything like that. So the deer like to travel around this back corner and cut across from woods to woods, but they don't want to do it where they're highly visible. So I'm thinking this is going to be a good spot to set up my trail cam, but first I'm going to look for some more deer sign. But right in here, all this top is nibbled down. That's from white-tailed deer. They eat the tops, they eat the leafy vegetation whenever it's still green. This soybean field right here, it's getting ready to dry up. Harvest is coming soon. A lot of guys already harvested their corn and beans, but this was planted late, so it's still green. But right here, some really good sign that deer have been passing through. I mean, it's all over this field in this back corner. I mean, as far as I can see tops nibbled down, so that's a good sign right there. All right, here's another good sign. These are all deer tracks right in through here. It's been dry for quite a while, but this whole corner of this field is all laced with deer tracks. All right, so I found some real good deer sign here in this area, so I'm thinking I'm going to put up my trail cam here. Now, I got soybeans that are chewed off at the top. I got a bunch of deer tracks. I got a real good trail going through the woods right behind me. Another one coming across here, right at this corner, at the corner where the sunlight's shining over there. So it's an intersection, and I want to capitalize on that, because if you put it on one trail, you might catch a deer coming to or from on that trail. But if you put them at an intersection where two or more trails meet, now you got that many more chances of catching a deer on that trail. Now another thing is, if you see deer droppings, that's a good sign too. If you see a lot of them on the ground and they all look about the same age, you can tell the age. New ones be more wet and soft, and older ones would be more hard and dry. But a good sign for deer droppings is not just one stage all around, because that could mean that 30 deer came in there, which would be awesome, and they defecated everywhere, but that's only one period of time. So if you have only one stage of deer droppings, the wet, moist, that means you had a lot of deer here recently, but they might not be back. So a good sign for deer droppings is, different stages of weathering and age of deer droppings. If you have old deer droppings here, the new deer droppings, and then deer droppings that are a few days old, now that is a good sign. That means that the deer are frequent in that area, that they either bed around that area or they come and visit that often. So that's a good sign, different stages of deer droppings in an area. Now I'm going to be talking a little bit about setting the camera up. Alright, there's so many different types of quality of trail cameras out there. Whether you want high resolution to take awesome pictures, or if you want a lower resolution to just be able to see what's in your area. I settled on lower resolution because I'm not taking wildlife photography pictures. I don't need that for what I want. So I settled on something moderately priced, but a must for me was an infrared nighttime flash. My cousin's got one that has a regular white light flash. I was just worried about spooking deer at night. And like I said, my cousin has one, and he's got a picture about 30 pictures of this 8-pointer that walked in. Didn't spook him, and it was all in one time setting that he came through, and he's got about 30 pictures. It didn't spook him at all, but I just don't want to have that chance. Will it happen? I don't know, but I wanted, in my mind, I wanted to set on an infrared nighttime flash. So that's what I did. Moderately priced one, infrared nighttime flash. Now, one thing to think about when you're setting it up is the sun's location to where your camera's facing, all right? And also to correlation with weather. Now, most trail cameras are waterproof, but I know many people who have lost trail cameras to the weather. Now, there's a couple ways that you can battle this. Now, one of them is to set it up in a direction, a cardinal direction, that you don't get the most rain from. Now, where I'm at in southern Indiana, we hardly ever get rain from the east. So setting it up in the east will be a good idea for the rain to not get rain in the camera. But if you set it up like that, the sun rises in the east going to the west. So in the morning time frame, you might have sun in the backlight of your picture, and you might not be able to see what the picture is taken of. So that might be a wasted picture in that aspect. So you got to tweak this and figure out a general direction that will be good for the weather and good for the sunrise and sunset. Now, where I am heading, most of our rain comes from the west and the south. So I kind of want to steer away from those positions. And now, for sunrise and sunset, east and west are kind of out of the picture too, because I don't want sun in the background for evening shot or sun in the background and for the morning shot to the east. So what I want to do is kind of in a northern direction where I'm at. This is what I'm choosing, a northern direction to set up my camera. So that way the sun's not in interference, and if we ever do get rain from the north, it's very low likely, but later on in the season, it'll be more solid. It'll be more snow, stuff like that. So I'm gonna be setting mine up facing north in an area where I can cover all these trails and stuff like that. Now, another way to battle the weather is to build like a little shelter house around your trail camera. And I made one, and that would look something as easy as this: 3-sided, 2 sides vertical, and 1 side slanted roof. And it just go onto the tree. Trail camera will sit right in here, and you just got to have a way to fasten it to the tree. And how I did it, I just put screws on both sides, and I'm gonna run rope tied around the tree. There's not gonna be much weight on here. I'm not gonna stand on it. It's not like a tree stand. So you can put screws, eye bolts, anything you want, fit right there, so you can strap it against the tree. Now you're probably wondering why I got this wire, bird wire here, but it's for camouflage. Now, you know, I can put leaves and stuff like that in here, weave it in and out of that wire to give it more camouflage. Now, if I was going to use a tree for camouflage these things, not just weeds, I'd use a beech tree. Because when a beech tree dies, the leaves stay on there for a real long time, and through the fall, you'll see in the woods, beech trees are the only ones with their leaves left. They hang on real good. So I'd put those in there, because if you use weeds and stuff like that, you'd have to replace it very often, because it's going to wilt, it's going to die off, and it's not going to be camouflaged anymore. So if I was going to camouflage it, I'd use beech limbs put in here. But right here's my trail camera. I got it set up right on the tree. It's about waist high, all right? So it'll pick up any animals on the ground, because I kind of want to see coyotes, I want to see coons, I want to see possums, I want to see every type of animal there is on this property in this corner down here in this field. So I set it up waist high so it'll pick up the ground, pick up anything. Now, if I was going to put this shelter house on here, it would go just like that above it. It would have basically a roof on it, and I'll spin the camera around here a little bit. I'm going to strap this on. Well, alright guys, here it is. Shelter house over, it's got a roof where rain's not going to be direct feet on top of it. All it is, I use a rope, tie it on. You could use a bungee cord if you want, you know, cable, whatnot. But right now, it'll be really hard for weather to get inside this camera with this shelter house. Now, if you wanted to camouflage it, you could spray paint it. But if you do that, I'd do that at least a week before, because everyone knows how spray paint smells. Deer know that too, right? and that might bring them in for curiosity, but it might spook them off. Who knows? I would wait at least a week. It still is going to smell after that. More before, the better. But you really don't have to if you put this little wire on here or somewhere you can attach, you know, sticks, foliage, anything to break up the outline if you wanted to. And you really don't have to, because a trail camera like this, I mean, it's not camouflage, it's black. Deer can see it. So that might get them in for curiosity as well, and they'll get their picture taken. So it's not a bad thing. That's what you're trying to do in the first place. But there you go, you guys. That's how I'd set up my trail camera. And hope y'all learned something from this. Catch you in a bit.